Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 7. Today we are going to present the material about the psychology of second language acquisition. The members are Ahmad Tokhairi, Nur Lydia Febrianti, Nur Fahriana Maulidina, and Ahmad Lutfi Al-Hafiz. First I will explain about language and the brain. Paul Verboeck, areas in left frontal lobe appear to be responsible for the ability to speak. He also noted that an injury to the left side of the brain was much more likely to result in language loss, and identified Wernicke area, a nervy area adjacent to the part of the cortex that processes audio input as being central to language processing. For the vast majority of individuals, language is represented primarily in the left hemisphere within an area around the sylvian fissure. Specialization of two halves of the brain is known as lateralization. There is increased specialization as the brain matures and has less plasticity. One area of the brain becomes less able to assume the function of another in the event is damaged. This is the principal hemispheric specialization. Last hemisphere is phonology, morphology, syntax, function word and inflection, tone system, and more lexical knowledge. And the right hemisphere is nonverbal, visuospatial information, intonation, non-literal meaning and ambiguity, many pragmatic abilities, and some lexical knowledge. And next, multilingual speakers. Multilingual speakers are neither completely separate nor completely fused. Erwin and Osgood suggest the three-way possibility for how language relates in an individual mind. First, coordinate parallel linguistic system, independent of one another. Compound, fused or unfused system. Subordinate bilingualism, one linguistic system accessed through another. Okay, thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Lutfi Al-Hafiz, and now I will continue the presentations about learning process. First is information processing, or IP. The first thing you need to do when you process the information is attention processing, and after that, skill learning theory and restructuring. So, which means that first you need the attentions to process some information, and then you will add your learning theory to those informations, and you restructure the information. And next is stage of information processing. First is input, and then central processing, and then output. So first, maybe it's same like before. Input, the information come, and then your brain will process, the theory comes, and you will relate it to the grammar or anything about a language, and then you will output or produce the language. So next is differences in learner to acquire a language. First, age. There are age, sex, aptitude, motivation, cognitive style, personality, and learning strategy. Now I will talk about age. So, difference in learners' age. So, there is a question. Children are more successful L2 learners. Is it correct? Yes, it is. Is it correct? But it's also wrong. Why? Because every age, young learner and older learner have the advantage and disadvantage. So let's go first from younger and older. So in younger advantage, their brain plasticity, which means that their brains are easy to get the information, and to store in their brain. So and also because their brain plasticity, it makes a young learner can be uh, more native than older learners. And but the older have an advantage, the learning capacity from their brain, because they have grown, and their brain also grown, so their capacity is more better than the younger learner. Next is for the young learner is not analytical, which means that they can be more fluent when speaking, but they don't really care about the grammar because they do not really think about what they said. They just said fluent, just said whatever they want, and it is different than the uh, older learners. When they get the information, they analyze the information, and also before they produce the language, they will relate it to analyze whether it is true or not. So it is a little bit hard for older to be more fluent, but the older will be more accurate when talk. And next is pragmatic skills. If the young learner have a lower pragmatic skill than the older. For the example, when young learners and older learners comes late to the school, then to the class, then the teacher will ask them, what time is it? For the young learner, maybe they will just translate the word what time is it and answer with 7:30, just like that. But it's different than the older learners. The older learners will think, and they think based on the situations what time is it, which is means that the teacher want to know why he is or she is late. So the older learners maybe will say I'm sorry. So that's all from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
My name is Nurfariana Maulidina, and I am going to continue the presentation about psychology of second language acquisition. So it's about differences in learners' sex. So the statement said that female are better second language learners. For verbal fluency, woman's brain may be less asymmetrically organized than men's for speech. Women also better at memorizing complex forms, beside men better at computing compositional rules. Differences related to hormonal variables. And the next one is differences in learners' aptitudes. Phonemic coding ability, the capacity to process auditory input into segments which can be stored and retrieved if the hearer cannot analyze the incoming stream of speech into phonemes in order to recognize morphemes input, may not result in intake. and associative memory capacity on how linguistic items are stored and with how they are recalled and used in output. The next one is about motivation. Significant goal or need or desire to attain the goal, perception that learning second language is relevant to fulfilling the goal or meeting the need or belief in the likely success or failure if learning L2 or value of potential outcomes or reward. There are two types of motivation by Brown 2007. The first one is integrative motivation based on interest in learning L2. Emotional or affective factors are dominant learning by a member of the dominant group in a society. And the next type is instrumental motivation, involve perception of purely practical value in learning L2, learning by subordinate group member. And the next one is about cognitive style, refers to individuals' preferred way of processing, like perceiving, conceptualizing, organizing, and recalling information by Brown 2000. There are a table about cognitive styles that state that field dependent and field independent. If you are global, the field independent is particular, and field dependent, if it's holistic, it will be analytic in field independent. And if it's deductive, top down, in field dependent, it will be inductive in field independent. And the next one is focus on meaning. So if in field independent, it would be focused on form.
Differences in learners' personality. Anxiety, most attention in SLR research. Low anxiety facilitates language learning. Instructional context or tasks influence anxiety and reporting or oral performance. Systematic cultural differences are found between groups of learners. For example, fast concept, low anxiety and high self-confidence increase self-motivation to learn. Metacognitive, for example, preview a concept, decide specific aspect of input in advance. Rehearse linguistic component, self-monitoring of forages and knowledge states. Cognitive, repeat or translate, remember words by L1 sounds, create vivid image, guess meaning through inferencing. Social or affective. Example, seek chance to interact with native speakers. Work cooperatively with peers. Ask a question, request repetition, explanation or example. The effect of multilingualism. Positive effect. Foreign language study is good for training the mind. And essential characteristic of educated and cultured members of society. And the last, on intellectual function based on measure of conceptual development, creativity, metalinguistic awareness, semantic development, and analytic skill. For the negative effects, negative impact on general intelligence, capacity limitation for language acquisition and maintenance, and that simultaneous bilingualism in childhood may result in narrower range of lexical development in either language. That intensive and continued use of L2 may reduce accessibility of L1.